What up, fish tank people? FishTankTV.com, Dustin's Fish Tank, Steve's Fish Tanks, bringing it from Steve's house over here. Dude calls me up. I'm sitting there working. Yeah, I'm still working, dressing in suit and tie wrap, cleaning in a bar of soap, coming at you on a fired up Friday. Just got done eating some lunch with my man. And he's like, dude, we got to do a video. And I'm like, absolutely do we have to do a video. Steve, we want to talk about your tank. Looks good, bro.
No, it doesn't.
No, because we keeps it real, okay? Tanks don't always look great. I'm going to take the camera. I want to get Steve on camera. I want to talk about what we're doing with some CO2 in the mix, bro. So, all right, it's up to you, brother.
All right,
talk what's going on here. Listen, the man's willing to do a video with his tank not looking great, which, by the way, props to you for just keeping it real.
Work's been rough recently.
Yeah, dude's got a baby on the way, and yeah, I mean, works hardcore working. Talk about it, brother. What do you got?
So let's talk about CO2. Now this is a 20 pounds of CO2 right here. Why is it wrapped in a trash bag? Well, because where I changed it in, they gave me a rusty tank. I didn't want to get rust all over my house. Anyways, it's a good tank. It's going to go under the stand when I'm done.
How the hell is that going to fit under the stand?
It does. I
swear.
Oh, it
does? Okay, yeah. All right.
I'm just lay it sideways.
Oh, okay.
It works great.
Cool.
But, so, how do you get started in CO2? This was one of the most intimidating things for a planted tank. Well, the first thing you got to do is you got to start with the tank. You either go to your local gas supply store, buy a tank, and then every time the tank gets empty, you just trade it in and out, basically like you do for a propane gas grill. Or you buy a used tank on Craigslist or eBay. I recommend starting with a 5-pound tank. This is a 20-pound tank. You probably just need to start off with a much smaller. That'll last like a year,
right,
or longer. But 20-pound tank, filled at your local gas store. Buy the tank, buy it used, buy it cheap, whatever. They'll just switch you in one and switch out the other.
Now that's the easy part, getting the tank. What about the,
So the next part is really the solenoid right here. Basically, it's your CO2 regulator.
What brand is this, brother?
This is an AZO one. It's the AZO CO2 regulator. How this works, there is a plug coming in right here that I have plugged into the outlet. When that is plugged in, it allows gas to escape.
So when power is on, that lets gas out,
right.
Correct?
Exactly. These show you that you have pressure going out, and this knob actually regulates the speed. So I just twist this knob a little either direction, and it controls the speed. Here's a whole lot.
No, I'll throttle that baby.
And here's very little. I can even shut it down.
Yeah, okay. So and what are we going for here?
So how fast do you want to run this? Well, usually 1 or 2 bubbles a second is a very safe way to go. You can get a bubble counter in the tank like I have, where you can actually count the bubbles.
That's just a ladder, though, right?
That's just a ladder, but you can still use it to count bubbles. How many bubbles are coming out per every second? So you get like a watch, do a minute, count the bubbles, how many minutes go in a bubble, how many bubbles per minute, or bubbles per 10 seconds, and figure out your bubbles per second. So anyways, what I recommend is to have your timer plugged in the same time your light's on, so that the CO2 shuts off when your light shuts off, because plants need CO2 to grow. Carbon is the basis of everything that's living. It's the basis of, we get our carbon through our food, plants get it through CO2. So the plants are going to get the carbon, they're going to use that carbon to grow as fast as possible, they're going to suck all the nutrients out of the tank, and they're going to outcompete the algae. The reason I have so much algae, this tank has not had CO2 going for 3 months now.
3 months. No
3 months. That's why it looks terrible.
Hey,
but
you're a man to show it like that, bro.
You know,
real men show their tank when it doesn't look perfect. That's all I can say.
Every tank has its ups and downs.
Yeah,
you lose a little motivation, then you get it back.
Yeah, a little back. All right, so I hate to be Debbie Downer, but let's just talk about what happens when the CO2 stops. Kind of some of the gotchas, man, because I got a lot of beginners, a lot of people get into it. Obviously, CO2 is killer when you got it rolling. You lost some of the Belixa.
Yeah.
Belixa, see ya. Gone.
My Belixa went gone. As soon as the CO2 stopped, my Belixa died out. I've got one little tiny spring that's trying to hang on, but that's it.
So you got that. The algae came back when the CO2 went. Have you ever gassed your fish?
I've never done it so much that I've killed fish, to my knowledge.
Okay, now I came downstairs when I was messing around with the regulator on mine, and I had my rainbows all at the top of the tank gasping, man. It was scary as shit. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
About to kill all my Bosemani. So I quickly throttled back the CO2, which, by the way, I don't have CO2 running on my 220 right now. Let that be abundantly clear. No CO2 on my 220. I would like to mess with it, but I'm not running it right now.
It's not absolutely needed for a good tank, but it sure does
all right,
help.
so but let's talk about it, though, because you had plants Like the Rotella was fine without the CO2. I mean, it's still okay.
Yeah.
The dwarf hairgrass, would you grow dwarf hairgrass? Because I'm a hater of that plant. Would you grow it without CO2?
No. Never.
No, dwarf hairgrass. Listen to that, folks. No CO2, no dwarf hairgrass. Everybody asks me about dwarf hairgrass like once a day. I got a question about it. I don't like it. If you got CO2, it's a hard plant to keep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's important. So you run it, alternating your lights. Talk about the pH drop, because it does drop the pH in the tank when you have it.
The CO2 is going to switch over into acid. Not all of it's going to get absorbed up to the plants. I believe it's called carbonic acid from my vague memory of chemistry.
We got you.
But that might be wrong. But part of it does switch over into acid. That lowers the pH in the tank. That's one reason you can kill fish with CO2 if you overdose it. And that's another reason you don't want to have the CO2 going when the lights aren't going. That's why you put them on the same timer, so they stop at the same time. The plants aren't going to be using it at night.
Yeah.
So,
plants
the
roots
other
grow
issue
at night, by the way.
is you can replace all of the oxygen in the tank with CO2, and that can also kill your fish. So there's two reasons that CO2 can kill your fish. So you don't want to overdo it. Couple bubbles a second is usually good.
One bubble. Let's just one
two,
bubble is your.
It depends on the size of the tank. A bigger tank needs more CO2. You can research. The internet has a lot of guidelines on how many bubbles per second. Look it up. We'll try to give you some information later.
Type in CO2 and then Tom Barr if you want to know.
Yeah, he's the genius on that.
Guru.
So this is a bubble ladder. These are a good way to do it.
Coming soon on aquaticjungles.com.
The longer the bubbles spin going back and forth, I guess Dustin showed you the shot of it going back and forth, the more that's going to actually get absorbed into the water. So that's why they go back and forth. It takes more time to go up to the surface, so it absorbs more. The other type is a diffuser. This is a diffuser right here. The tube hooks onto this end, it comes through, and this is a really fine, I think it's porcelain actually, top, and these little micro bubbles will come out here and they will almost completely get absorbed into the water. The problem with this is there's no bubble counter on this, so you actually have to get a bubble counter on your CO2 regulator down there. Really high-end CO2 regulators will have a bubble counter attached, and it's very useful. So if you want to go that way, that's never the wrong way to go. So
any starting off tips? Go with 1 bubble per second. Use a ladder. You know, what about water changes and pH swings and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so doing a really large water change when you're doing CO2, your tap water is going to be a little different pH. Probably most of them are going to be at about a pH of 7.
And that varies all over the country.
And it varies all over the country. But let's just say it is. And let's say your tank's at a pH of 5.5 because you're running CO2. Discus don't mind a pH of 5.5, neither do your cardinal tetras. Well, the thing is if you do a huge 50% water change, you're going to drastically change the pH. So my advice is I would never do more than a 25% water change if you're not going to mess with the pH of the water you're putting in.
And what happens when you do big changes in the pH swings?
You kill fish.
You kill fish. We've all killed fish. Don't act like anybody watching this has not killed fish. We've all killed some fish. So very good stuff, dude. Thank you so much for having me over and chilling and do it. There are, 5 discus in here that are just hiding because discus are the hot chick at the bar that you can't talk to that's got her head up her ass, and you're just, nah, we're discus, we're going to hide. Yeah, we don't want to be on camera.
We scared them. We scared them.
We scared them. They're scared. So that's what we're doing. Grab me real quick, wait here if you could. Yeah. So we're having a lot of fun. Steve busting the CO2 video. I've got the Dirted Tank bundle for sale on howtosetapaplanetank.com on Christmas special until Christmas. So ho, 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 get some dirt in your stockings, folks. I'm also doing another live Q&A. Some of you all got an email about that on Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I'm very, very jacked about that. Live answering questions, talking tanks for 90 minutes. So that's something you're definitely going to want to check out. I hope you guys had an awesome week. I know I'm having a good time. Steve grabbed me to do this. The Rotella. What are your plans next, bro? Let's talk about the tank. What are you doing next? What do you got now? You got your CO2 going?
Oh, I guess I need to buy some new plants.
The shameless plug to buy plants on Aquatic Jungles. No, what are you gonna do now, bro? I mean, you got access to me. Shit, I got all kinds of.
I'm gonna get more Rotella in the back.
More Rotella. If you had one plant to take with you to the grave, it would be Rotella.
It's a great plant.
I mentioned in the Dirty Tank Guide, by the way. I give you a full Rotella love in there, all about you.
your love for
So
Rotella.
easy.
Rotella would be
So
Rotella
easy.
indica
I'm
or
gonna-
rotundifolia if you people want to complain about the scientific name.
I'm gonna start dosing some iron and some potassium in here so I can get the color up of my Rotella.
How you liking that potassium I gave you?
I've been using it a little bit, but
dude,
it's gonna be a lot better
love
now
it.
that I got CO2s. I got the lights on more out of the day.
What do you guys think Steve should do in here?
It's a good question.
I don't know, dude. I think you're still dirted. You could do a big. You're gonna do more Rotella. You want to do any big swords? To hit up those flames I got, dude. They go pow in there with the CO2. So, are you having fun, dude? You having fun? You feel good to get CO2 on there? You texted me yesterday when you had the CO2 run. You're pumped. So,
Yeah,
that's
great.
it, folks.
Oh, one other thing. When
Yeah.
you're connecting the valve here, sometimes you have to use plumber's tape to get a good connection. We just learned that today.
Yeah, we had to go to Home Depot to get that done. So, tank on, people.